Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of recording a customer overpayment. But before we get started with that, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you can get updates on future videos. And if you have any suggestions for me to make videos on, do post them in the comment section. Okay, so let's get started now. Now, customer was supposed to pay you, let's say $3,000, but the customer paid you $39.48 for whatever reason. Customer overpaid on an invoice. What do you do in that case? Few things we can do. One, we can keep the credit for future invoices, right? Two, if you have more invoices open already, then you can simply apply to the other open invoice existing in the system. Or number three, you can return it to the customer. Okay, so let's go through all these scenarios one by one. So first we're going to go to this one customer's account that the payment was for. So I'm going to create a duplicate tab of this. Okay, now we're going to go to that customer's account, and this customer is ABC company. Now the payment was for $39.48, right? So we're going to go to the oldest invoices and we're going to apply this payment to those invoices. So let's apply this payment. I know this payment was for 8/1/24 invoice. So we're going to click here on receive payment. When we do that, we're going to say 8/11 and the payment came in as ACH transfer and the payment was for 3,800 here. But we know we got paid for 839.48, right? Okay. And first scenario we are discussing is where we are going to apply the payment that was supposed to come in for that invoice, like 3,800 here, and we're going to leave the credit for future invoices. Okay, so this stays saved. That's it. So okay, so we keep the credit of $148 for future invoices. This is how it's going to reflect. Watch, it's going to show up like this. You see this balance of $148. It's going to stay open until you have another new invoice that you can apply the payment to. That's first scenario. Okay, now I'm going to delete this payment and show you the second scenario on the same payment. Okay. Now we have our invoices open again. Payment has been deleted. Okay. So the second thing we can do with that overpayment is we can apply to the existing invoices. We still have more open balance for this customer. Depending on what the deal is with this customer, you might be able to apply to other open invoices. So let's see. So we'll click on new transaction payment. Okay. And the payment came in as ACH. Now I know $3,800 gets applied to this. Now what I can do is I can go to the old invoice and apply $148 on that one. And that makes my payment $39.48, right? Okay, so this is another way of applying the overpayment. Okay. Now, so third scenario was where we can refund the money to the customer. Okay, the way we do it is, well, first let me just delete this payment. So we are going to receive payment, 3,800, but actually it was 39.48. We have to show the full payment first, ACH, but we have to show a credit of $148, right? We're gonna save it. Now we need to give this money back to the client. What we do in that case is, now let's say we sent a Zelle to this customer. We can say new expense. And when we do that, we're gonna say ABC company, and it went out of Citibank checking, and the date was 8/11. We paid it. I don't have Zelle as a payment method, so I'm gonna create it now. Okay. And the account I'm gonna use here is Accounts Receivable, because the overpayment of $148 right now is sitting in Accounts Receivable as a negative balance. Okay, so that's the account. We're gonna debit it here, $48. Okay, and the customer was ABC company. Now we can put a note here, refund of overpayment, save. Now, one more thing we need to do after doing this is we need to go back to the customer account. We click on new transaction and payment. When we do that, we have to connect this expense that we just created, $148, to this unapplied payment of $148. It's going to be a zero action, but we must do this to connect these two transactions. So there is no like open positive AR or negative AR. Okay, so we just connect these two, save. That's it. So those were three scenarios. Either you can keep the credit, the overpayment for future invoices, or you can apply to the existing open invoices, or you can just give a refund to the customer. Actually, now that I'm working on it, I do recall one more situation that somebody had asked me on YouTube. Actually, his customer gave him a tip on top of the invoice amount. So he was asking how to deal with that situation. So I'm going to answer that here too, actually. So let's go over that situation too. I am going to delete this overpayment. Okay, so now we still have this $148 payment, right? What do we do? Let's say this $148 was actually a tip that was given to you. Now, we don't want to go back to prior periods and make changes to the invoices. transactions from prior period. So we would just create a new invoice, new transaction. We're going to do an invoice here. Say ABC company. Payment date is 8/11. So that's the date. I'm going to create a tip account. Okay. So I'm going to create a tips income. Okay. I'll create a new product or service actually. So I'll create this as a service item. So I'll create a new item called tips income. Now in this case, I am going to create it as a tips income account, not a liability. But if it's something that's for your employees, not for you, and you're going to end up paying it in a payroll or something, then you would create it as a liability type account. So item name could be same like tips income. I'm going to add it. It's a service type item. We just say tips from clients or customers. And income account is not this. In this case, I am just saying this is actually for the owner himself. So tips income. I'm going to create a new account called tips income. And it's going to be an income account. Okay. Save and close. Tips from clients. And that was $148 in this case, right? And I am going to save it. And then I go back to that payment that we had received, right? And that was overpayment of $148. We're going to take that and we are going to apply it to this invoice here. 148. See now, 3948 payment, 3800 was applied to an actual service invoice, and then $148 was applied to the tip invoice. Okay, so we're going to do save, yes, and that's it. Okay, these were the 4 scenarios. If you have any questions, do post them in the comments. If you have any other ideas for any videos, do post them in the comments, please. And do subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. So until then, happy accounting.